All right. Well, yes, we have part 11 of Exodus, and I forgot to mention I have my lovely back, which I made a little compilation on putting it up. It was very fun. Sometimes it's nice, a kind of segue into our topic of the day. Sometimes it's nice to do something for ourselves, zhuzh up the lifestyle a little bit, right? A very pleasant time and exciting time. So now we're going to talk about what the Lord is doing for himself, right? We're going to learn he's giving Moses very specific instructions, right? He's been talking to Moses, right? He brought him up on the mountain and has held him up there for 40 days and 40 nights. So now we will know what he's talking about within these 40 days and 40 nights. Literally straight, non-stop, giving him very specific instructions to create something for himself, for the Lord, as a dwelling place, right? So we're learning about the foundations of a church. We're learning about the tabernacle. We're learning about how really that began, how the Lord demanded and commanded for them to make a dwelling place for him. And let's go ahead and begin with a quote. Okay, and again, Moses is up there for 40 days, leaving the people to their own devices. We're going to learn about what they do a little bit later, but this is the quote. "And the poor in their fireless lodgings, dropping the sheets of the evening paper, our day is our loss. Oh, show us, organizer, time, the refreshing river. And the nations combine each cry, invoking the life that shapes the individual belly and orders the private nocturnal terror. Did you not found once the city-state of the sponge, raise the vast military empires of the shark and tiger, establish the robin's plucky canton, intervene? O descend as a dove, or a furious papa, or a mild engineer, but descend." So this is from, just says Spain, 1937. I'm not exactly sure, actually, what exactly this is from. Alrighty, well, yes. This foreshadows, to say the least, this foreshadows what is happening with the people. So, while Moses is up on the mountain having this conversation for 40 days and 40 nights, the people are left to their own devices down at the bottom, really just going through it. They thought they'd lost their ruler, their organizer. They're kind of just like, okay, well, now what? And they're also kind of in a weird position where they're not fully established. They're kind of, again, just kind of camping out wherever they land. And of course, they can set up, camps and things like that, but it's not that comfortable. It's not like their homes that they used to have in Egypt. And it says something interesting here: raise up the vast military empires of the shark and the tiger, and establish the robin's plucky canton. So again, they're talking in reference to like an animal spirit or something of that nature. So we know, and as much of you know, of course, is the formation of like the cattle, the golden calf that they used to worship to in the place of God and Moses, because they just didn't know what to do. So they called upon, an idol, right? But we'll learn about that, I think, probably in the next reading. I forgot if it even mentions it here. In the meantime, anyways, let me just finish here. So it's saying, intervene, oh, descend as a dove or a furious papa, a mild engineer, but descend. So they're wondering, they're waiting, they're wanting the Lord to come down and just, speak to them kindly or whatever, or they're just looking for something. They don't really need him to come down the way he's come before, but anything is better than nothing. They're kind of just like at a loss. They think Moses is gone eternally, right? They don't know what happened to him. They're confused, such and such. So now, taking a look at the other side of the coin, what is God talking to Moses about? And again, it's these specific instructions on how to create something for the Lord himself. He wanted something for himself. Let's go ahead and continue. Alright, so it's going to be a little bit all over the place, because again, I'm taking bits and pieces, but I'm just going to go ahead and go through everything. God is speaking. "And onyx stones and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and breastpiece. Then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them. Make an atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. The rings are to be close to the rim to hold the poles used in carrying the table. Then make its 7 lamps and set them up on it so that they light the space in front of it. Make curtains of goat hair on the tent over the tabernacle, 11 altogether, with 2 projections set parallel to each other. Make all the frames of the tabernacle in this way: 5 for those on the other side, and 5 for the frames on the west, at the far end of the tabernacle. Make gold hooks for this curtain, and 5 posts of acacia wood, overlaid with gold, and cast 5 bronze bases for them. The poles are to be inserted into the rings so that they will be on 2 sides of the altar when it is carried. All the posts around the courtyard are to have silver bands and hooks and bronze bases. It is to have 2 shoulder pieces attached to its corners so it can be fastened. Then mount the 4 rows of precious stones on it. The first row shall be carnelian, chrysolite, and beryl. Make 2 more gold rings and attach them to the bottom of the shoulder pieces on the front of the ephod. Close the seam just above the waistband of the ephod. Fasten a blue cord to it. Attach it to the turban, and it is to be the front of the turban. Take the anointing oil and anoint him by pouring it on his head. Cut the ram into pieces and wash the internal organs and the legs, putting them with the head and the other pieces. Consecrate those parts of the ordination ram that belong to Aaron and his sons: the breast that was waved and the thigh that was presented. For 7 days make atonement for the altar and consecrate it. Then the altar will be most holy, and whatever touches it will be holy. Aaron must burn fragrant incense on the altar every morning when he tends the lamps. But then the Lord said to Moses, Make a bronze basin with its bronze stand for washing. Place it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Then use it to anoint the tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law, the table and all of its articles, the lampstand and its accessories, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offerings and all its utensils, and the basin with its stand. Do not make any incense with this formula for yourselves. Consider it holy to the Lord. Then the Lord said to Moses, See, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled them with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills. Moreover, I have appointed Oliab, sons of Ishmael, and of the tribe of Dan to help him. Also I have given the ability to all the skilled workers to make everything I have commanded you: the tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law, with the tent with the atonement cover on it, and all of the furnishings of the tent. It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in the 6 days Lord had made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. So wonderful. We learn this is what God is discussing with Moses, those 40 days and 40 nights. He's giving him very specific building instructions that he is to relay to all the people. Again, this is a much larger section, right? It covers a few different chapters here, but of course I'm just taking out every 7th, 17th, 27th, maybe even the 37th line and reading that. But if you were to go back to these chapters and see in great detail everything that the Lord is describing to Moses, it's a lot. It's very much a lot. But for a good reason, right? He's teaching them to, create a place for the Lord, right? A sacred place, which they haven't really done before, specifically for God, right? For Him, for God's eternal representation. And this really is kind of the beginning of creating a beautiful, ornate church. The God loves luxury, right? He's making it something of His own, because something that the Israelites had experience in was building bricks or what have you. Think about how ancient Egypt used to look, and all of the things that they built there is very different, right? It's stuff that's chiseled out of stone and compiled based off of bricks. We learned, the Israelites used to make bricks. That was kind of their thing. And then of course just shaping and chiseling things. But God is giving them a very separate set of instructions. He's really integrating carpentry and what's the word when they do metalworking, right? There's another word for it. whatever, right? Metal making, a bunch of different like intricate things that they probably had a light understanding on how to do. But it's saying here that he's influencing, these leaders to go ahead and carry out these tasks. He's influencing them with his spirit, so they know how to do these things, and they're creating technically something for himself. Because the Egyptians, right, they had their own idea of God and the gods, right? God had his own idea of the other entities that were, around the earth, I would say, right? It is said that the ancient Egyptian people were much like or very close descendants of the Anu people or the Anunnaki, which were the kind of extraterrestrials or the other galactic beings that were kind of in charge of our genetic transition, right? They kind of were in charge of creating the modern human and like our work-like mentality. That they were kind of in charge of that. The Egyptians were in charge of that. The Anu people were in charge of that, and it kind of created this idea of the fact that there were other gods. But anyways, that is acknowledged in the Bible, like the fact that God says don't worship any other god but me, right? There are other beings that different groups looked up to. We're aware of that now at this point, but this was something for God. That's what I'm trying to say. The Egyptians had the Hebrews make all these like masterpieces, right, out of stone to kind of represent something else. But God really did want a dwelling place for himself. And it's completely unique. It's completely different than any of the architecture that we've seen. Just the way, if you really read through each thing, just the way of the construction of the tabernacle and the table and the curtains. They're really kind of creating like this gorgeous bohemian tent, because Moses already had like a tent that or I guess really not, like they're kind of like making it at this time, but he did have like a tent where he would go, which we will learn about, to worship the Lord. But now they're in charge within 6 days to go ahead and make this more ornate place of worship and something that can be packed down and picked up and traveled with. That's why he said like you have the poles to carry the tabernacle and all of that stuff. But he is, instructing them to make them out of wood and gold and all of this stuff. So we have carpentry, woodworking, metalworking. What is that word? I guess blacksmith. I forget like how they're, they melt metal and they mold it and they do all of this stuff. They also have embroidery, or somebody who like makes beautiful things. So they're working on all this together, and God is giving them a project. So something to keep in mind when we talk about the next topic is all of this is happening, right? All of this is happening. God is having a conversation with Moses, and the people are also feeling this like creative energy that Moses and God are going through it just together, right? But the people are like, like what do we do? They're feeling this like inspiration in a way, which causes them to go ahead and create a gold idol, because they're kind of, feeling at a loss. They don't know what happened to Moses. They haven't really heard from God since he's so busy talking to Moses at this time. So they're like, okay, well now what do we do? They ended up insulting the Lord greatly, and we'll learn about what his reaction is to it slightly. I didn't really put too many details, but I will tell you that God was not happy, and he was very, very upset with the people after they decided to do that. We'll go ahead and talk about it next, but all is forgiven. All is forgiven, but he does give them a task, and basically all of this, what I just talked about, is reiterated to the people. So we might hear some repetition a little bit, but he instructs them, this is what you're supposed to do. You want to go ahead and be all creative and have your little celebration with your golden calf. This is actually what you're going to do. You're going to get busy with this. You're going to create a dwelling for me, for the Lord. So yeah, that's all of this. Like when I read this, when I read this going back, I was like, wow, this is kind of like a lot. It seems very advanced for the people of this time, right? It doesn't seem like something that they would just naturally pick up and do. This was a very strict instruction and stuff that like just didn't really seem applicable to the time, because it's really so long ago and so far back. So I just like, it's a little interesting. Like the Egyptians had the Hebrews working for them, making the bricks, doing whatever they do, right? And this is like a new type of building. This is a new type of construction, And of course, it wasn't going to be like a total enslavement, right? They were going to work for 6 days and then take a day off and rest and do whatever. But yeah, that was interesting to me, and they definitely had a project assigned to them. Yes, and that's really the reason the Lord wanted something for him, for himself, a dwelling place for him, a sacred place. He teaches them also how to consecrate themselves, and this is also for the future when God is wanting to like get rid of sins. He wants a ritualistic practice to kind of cleanse everything and everyone. This is how you do it, essentially. He's making a place for them to come for sacrifices, to come for just like cleansing, prayer, and really truly so he can speak to one another. He can speak to Moses, he can speak to whomever is in the tent, and hash it out that way. So we'll learn about that. But that's really all I have to say. I guess I'm going back to my sleep and relaxation mode, not to get too crazy on this. I guess I'll come back on here tomorrow and go through the last topic. I don't see why not. Try to come on a little bit earlier in the morning. But that's all I have, you guys. Enjoy your Saturday, and peace and blessings. Goodbye.